Hey everyone, it's Gamer Chat. I'm Tim,
I'm Josh.
I'm Jade.
and we're going to be talking about Warzone, the new Call of Duty Battle Royale that is on the talks of almost every gamer today. So with Warzone, it's a Battle Royale, but it also has some new aspects and some new. I think it has two modes that is very different from the most Battle Royales like Fortnite, Apex, and so on. So before I get into it, let's hand it over to Josh, who is probably one of the best experts that I know who plays this religiously.
I don't play it religiously. I said
Josh,
I've played it before, but
you play religiously, don't fuck.
no, I don't. I have not played. Anyway, that's not the point. Is I've played it before. I've played it extensively, and I thoroughly enjoy Warzone. There are a few different modes with Warzone, like you said. There is the classic Battle Royale Warzone, and then there is I can never remember the name of it because I don't play it myself. But basically, it's set in a Battle Royale, the same Battle Royale map. But instead of just fighting to the death, you have to fight and get money and acquire the most wealth before the game ends, or whoever acquires, I don't know, $1 million, something like that, is gonna be the victor. But every time you die, you drop money, stuff like that. So
That's actually pretty. That's a cool concept.
the main
I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, the main point of Warzone, though, the actual Battle Royale itself, is to pit 150 people in groups of 3 against each other. So that's what really sets it aside from most Battle Royales, is that it's 150 people rather than like 60 with Apex or 100 with Fortnite. And it's only groups of 3. You can solo queue or do a 2-person queue if you want to, but you will still be fighting people who are 3-man squads instead of just like one-on-ones or 2-on-ones. There is also a solos mode that they added recently that people were really thrilled about, and apparently, according to some people, Shroud is super fucking easy and it's useless, is what he says, because it's just probably because of his general skill level over everyone else. But Warzone has unique features such as a buying system where you can go to shops after you acquire money from around the world or from kills, and you can buy loadouts.
Yeah, and that was something that I found interesting. Like you could buy loads from your multiplayer game, whereas instead of like regular battle royales where you have to find and hunt for those good guns you're looking for. But if you acquire enough money, you can buy that loadout with all your perks, skill sets, and everything.
Yep, and that is the only way to acquire perks in the entire game.
Yeah, and another thing that I found interesting in this, another thing that you could buy was recovery, that you can buy back one of your teammates who was killed.
Yes.
The most interesting thing that caught my attention in Warzone was obviously the recovery, like the resurrection system, where there's 2 ways. If you die, then you were sent to the gulag, where it's basically like a one-on-one gladiator match, where it's you two players fight to be revived. So
Yep.
I thought that was probably one of the most interesting things, because it was basically also like there was like a cool kind of queuing system that was, if you were put in there, you could spectate the 2 players currently going on. You could even throw rocks at them, kind of just like hey, fuck you, whatever.
Yeah, and there are a couple people who have figured out ways to kill people with those rocks. Occasionally, the loadout will have like a claymore, like a C4, and if you throw a rock at it, it explodes. So this was a very, very famous clip when Warzone first came out. Someone threw a rock at a claymore around a corner. The guy who planted it walked in front of it. The guy threw it, and it killed the player. And the person who was fighting the opponent, whatever, won technically because their opponent died. So it doesn't matter how they die, so long as their opponent dies, they get revived.
And I always like that. And then the other way is if your 2 teammates or however acquire enough money, they can buy you back. And apparently that's unlimited. They can buy you back as many times.
So long as
but
they have money.
It gets hard. It gets hard because the further the game goes, the less people there are, the less money you got. So you got to spend that money wisely.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that occasionally there'll only be certain buy stations available, and so once you get to, let's say, the final 3 circles, there's maybe only 2 buy stations, and at that point it's not worth it because you're gonna get yourself killed because there's always gonna be someone watching it. because they know that at
Right.
that point someone's either going to be revived or they're going to try and get a new loadout, some ammo, a kill streak as well. You can also buy. You can buy a UAV, a cluster strike, and I think there's a precision airstrike as well that you can buy. So you can really fuck some people over if you camp those.
Yeah,
but it's
I really like
it's something.
how Call of Duty has put its own original twist on the battle royale.
Yeah, unlike Blackout, where Blackout was kind of very standard. Warzone definitely put its own twist on it.
Warzone is basically its own format of battle royale. It's actually honestly something that I actually prefer when it comes to battle royales.
Yeah, so
Jade,
with with all of this, Jade, do you have anything to say?
It's very interesting because me coming from I haven't played the game myself, but myself coming from a long line of Call of Duty plays, like ever since I started gaming, Call of Duty was a big game. I actually started with Call of Duty, I believe it was Battlefront on GameCube. Am I
Oh my
thinking of the
God.
name correctly?
that's a good one.
I
Battlefront?
think that's the name. I think is that the name?
I believe that's the name. It was on GameCube, and it was it basically took part in D-Day.
Oh,
It
Big
took,
Red One. I think is what it's called. Is it Big
but
Red One?
so that's
Yeah,
I
I'm
believe so.
curious.
So that's actually how I started playing Call of Duty. So it's really, and then throughout the years, seeing all the updates and seeing all the pass-ons, all like new updates and everything, like Black Ops, World War II, and then finally actually seeing I believe isn't all Call of Duties all like cross-console friendly?
No, only Modern
No.
Warfare is. The new
Okay,
one.
so it's very cool to see that they're starting to respect that there's a bunch of cross-platform people and that they've created such a game that allows cross-platform amongst like the PS and the Xbox and the PCs. So that is a very big plus to me. So I'm actually going to check it out. From what I researched through the game, and this is actually really interesting, is that they did something in the game that not many games do. And that is, from what I've read, is that the Warzone, what they've created is if you get tagged for cheating, they will place you in an only cheater game, which will be the terrible
Yes.
game of your life. So that is really cool of them that they did that. So if you're tagged, like if you're suspected of cheating or tagged of like modding or like hacking or all that, you will be placed in those games strictly, and it's basically to teach you a lesson that it's that there's other people out there and that's the only game you can play. It's like that's the shittiest game of your life is playing amongst other cheaters. And that's to kind of deter people from, cheating, just having a good time playing the game. But I thought that was a really cool aspect what they did. Because
Yeah.
not many games will do that.
There was a massive wipe in the most recent update. This was a few days ago. Of 70,000 players getting their accounts banned, and then anyone because those guys were confirmed cheating, proven, whatever. And if someone's suspected of cheating, then they get sent into those lobbies where it's exclusively people who are being labeled as that. Whether
Yeah,
it's
to
true,
kind of
whether it's
weed 'em
true or
out.
not, it can be a good way to do it, but it can also be a problem. Because what if someone and like some group of people abuse that system, and they start throwing people into those lobbies who actually aren't cheating, and now they're just not having a good time. So obviously there's ups and downs to that kind of system, but I think it's a good idea, and it should definitely be improved upon, and should definitely be the way that games should go, because it'll also deter them from getting new accounts as quickly. So if you throw
Because
them they won't notice until it's too late, and
Yeah, they won't know that it's the game until it's like too late.
yeah. So
Yeah, no, I've always loved games that have like a cheating system, like with trying to think of one right now. With can't remember. No, with actually The Witcher 3, if you're trying to like do one of the cheating methods to farm for for something, you get attacked by an unkillable monster, and that's probably one of my favorite ones. That's like the funniest thing.
Yeah, so anti-cheating measures by game devs are interesting, and they definitely have their own unique spin on it. But when it comes to multiplayer games, there's not a lot of anti-cheating methods besides like a vac system or maybe like a battle eye. But even then, they're very flawed systems, and they're also third party, and so they're only run by a company that's not like Activision or by like EA or whatever. So you're not getting the guaranteed the way they want it to be. They have to make it very general and just kind of notice cheating in the ways that you can, like excessive movement, going through objects that are not like breakable, stuff like that. But when it's very subtle, and like aimbot is a very subtle thing to catch because you can't always tell, it becomes a very big problem. And that's why it relies on people like us to report people accordingly, not just because we don't like them or whatever. So we got to be careful with that system, because if you think it can be abused, it will be abused.
Yeah.
Right.
So, obviously, take that new system with a grain of salt because it's not perfect, and there will be people who are suffering, who are just playing the game, who aren't like cheating or whatever. So we're gonna have to fix that, because I read on the subreddit already that there are people who are getting sent into those games who don't cheat, so they're getting kind of screwed over. So we have to be very careful and very vigilant about reporting and make sure that we're actually reporting people who are actually hacking.
See, that's the thing though. I'm gonna say that's a bit of a flaw, because there's a bunch of players who are salty as hell, who will a better skill set, who's like just better at the game because they practice and they're really good at it. They'll say, "Oh, this guy's cheating. I'm gonna report him," like, because they can't accept the fact that, "Oh wow, I suck. This guy's better." No, they're gonna say he's cheating.
Yeah.
But there also is another way that they can report. Okay, so I don't approve of people reporting people just because they're better than them. But if you are going to report them, don't report them for cheating. Report them for toxic behavior. It's much less of a problem, because at least with toxic behavior they can appeal it and get their account unbanned. And with cheating, it's a permaban. It's not going to be appealed, and you can't undo it. So, if you're gonna do it, just do it for toxic behavior. Don't do it for cheating. Okay, that's just all I'm gonna say.
I agree with that.
So,
I feel like people are gonna cheat no matter.
Oh yeah, people are gonna abuse it no matter what people say, and people are gonna cheat in a game if they're too bad to play the game normally. So, anything else you guys have about Warzone that you guys want me to answer? Any questions?
I don't know, I mean, with Warzone, it looks pretty fun. It definitely it's not a generic battle royale. It's honestly like it's an original.
It feels different when you're actually playing it. It feels different. Not only because Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare in particular, has their own movement system that feels very fluid and it feels very nice, and it actually is super easy to catch on to. Where the player there's two sprint modes, by the way. There's the regular sprint where you just like kind of sprinting at like the normal pace, and then there's, if you double tap your sprint button, it'll go faster, but you're unable to use your weapon. So
that's kind of interesting.
And the sliding mechanic is very easy and good and like easy flowing with the sprinting, but your weapon is significantly reduced accuracy when you're sliding. Are you okay over there?
Yes, I am.
It sounds like
I'm
you're
just fixing my mic. Sorry.
It sounds like you're slapping your mic.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like she was getting attacked by something.
I'm getting attacked.
But yeah, so the movement system is very fluid, and that also helps with the design of the map, which is a bunch of different smaller maps that they had in multiplayer and from previous games, all congealed into one map. So they have Scrapyard from Modern Warfare 2 as part of the map. They have other parts of older maps being intertwined with their battle royale map. So you'll see some familiar areas and some familiar buildings.
Yeah, that's something I saw that I thought was really cool. How they have how, because in all battle royales it's one giant map, but with Call of Duty they took a bunch of maps and merged it into one giant masterpiece.
Yeah, Black Ops 4 did the same thing with their maps. They took like Nuketown and like Array and stuff like that. But obviously there were some liberties taken with the topography of the map. So they made like hills in certain areas and whatever. And it was a very cool idea. And it was very interesting because that was never really done before, but mainly because Battle Royales never really had anything else to work off of. They were always their own standalone game. So when they have other previous maps to work off of, it kind of made sense to just intertwine them so people have get a familiarity with the map already. So Modern Warfare.
I think that's cool. I think that's cool as well because it helps people who are like familiar with like the games like Call of Duty and all that by introducing the similar maps or the same maps. It helps them like be familiar with the area, like where to hide or where they can run to instead of like running like a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah. And another thing that is really cool about the gun system in Modern Warfare is that there are 6 tiers of weapons. So you have the regular, common, rare, uncommon, or legendary, and epic. So like it's like gray, green, blue,
so
purple, gold.
Levels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that was something. That was something I thought was pretty interesting. How you can come across like top tier weapons like super fast. You know, it's not gonna get hard. It's like you can find them pretty fast.
And the only difference between the weapons, let's say you pick up there's a weapon called an M13. It is an assault rifle. There's a gray version, a green version, and a blue version. The damage difference on all the weapons are the same. Like, there's no damage difference at all. They're the same weapon. The damage doesn't fall off. The only difference is some of them have attachments on them. So you'll have one of them that doesn't have a sight on it. One of them has a compensator. The other one has, like, a reflex sight and a compensator. So it'll add on an attachment each time you get up in a tier. And for the gold weapons, they don't have any special abilities besides having max out attachments. And then there's a 6th tier, which is the player-made weapons, which is what you can get from loadout drops, which also spawn randomly throughout the game. So you can, if you don't have enough money to buy one, there's one that will spawn for you just randomly. And you can always pick up a loadout from that. And so you can have your own loadouts for whatever you want, and you can make a sniper loadout, like something for shotguns. You can have one that relies on using equipment, stuff like that. And it's very, very cool to see that, like, how different people use their weapons and their favorite ones in game. But you're always going to see that meta of you'll see a very similar sniper setup no matter who's playing it. So I always thought that was kind of cool when I was playing, that there was these 5 tiers that you can pick up off the ground, and there was a 6th tier that you can just have yourself.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that is
I
pretty
like that.
interesting.
I'll have to definitely check it out for sure because there's like from all the information I'm getting, it sounds like a really cool game.
Yeah, and if you're comfortable with Call of Duty, then you're going to be comfortable with the Battle Royale. It plays exactly the same.
Okay. That's good.
You guys, any other questions? Any other things I can help out?
Nah, I mean, that was pretty much it about.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
I mean, with Call of Duty, with Warzone, you know, there's not that much to go on about when describing it, and it's based like talking about. It's like, yeah, you know, there's like, yeah, it's an original battle royale, but in the end, it's also a battle royale. So like,
yeah. So
what else?
It's
the only thing you can talk about is how it's different. Yeah, the only thing you can talk about is like how different it is from other battle royales. Other than that, it's just classic battle royale.
Like Apex and Fortnite and all that.
Very similar to those in like the battle royale standpoint, because you know that's all they can really do is base it off of the one battle royale standpoint, which is pick up weapons. Weapons have different like rarities or whatever, and then you know, if you die, that's it, or if you die, there's a respawn system. There's really not much more to go on about a battle royale.
Right.
Well, I think that's gonna be it for this episode. It was a very short one, but it's it's always about the conversation, not really how long it takes. But Warzone is free to play for everyone, so if you guys want to download it, just go to your
just
store.
be aware it's like almost 100 gigabytes.
It is. It's a very big game.
Oh, so it's gonna take them a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a while, so you get to have some space opened up. But if you do want to try it, I would definitely go for it. It's very fun, especially getting people that you can play with. It makes it immensely more entertaining. I used to play it alone, and I got very upset. And when I started playing with my friends, I was much better at the game, and I'd stopped caring so much. So, I think that's all gonna be all the time we have. But if you guys do want to do crossplay, you need to have an Activision account, I think.
What account?
An Activision account, yeah.
Activision.
So you'll base each other's accounts off of the Activision account, and that's how you guys are gonna link.
I don't think I have one.
They'll ask you. They'll ask you to sign one. They'll ask you to sign one when you start the game, so it's fine.
Yeah, they'll just have you.
Yeah, they're gonna have you because in order to play the game, I think you have to have an Activision account. Because if you're gonna have crossplay enabled, you have to have one.
I see.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. You can turn off crossplay, so you don't need to have crossplay on at all times.
What does that allow?
Anyway, it's still pretty cool.
That it allows you to just play with like whatever console you're currently playing on. So only Xbox players, or only PlayStation, or only PC players. So if you have that on, you'll be playing with all of them. If you have it off, then you'll be playing with only one. Keep in mind that also limits the player base a lot, like by 2/3. So you got to take that into account. But yeah, I think that's all. So I guess I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jade.
All right. See you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.